Hey Alex, I've been thinking about all the different ways people try to learn English, and one that always stands out to me is using TV shows and movies. I mean, who wouldn't want to learn while watching their favorite actors and storylines?
Absolutely, Myra. It's such a fun and engaging way to improve your listening skills. But I feel like a lot of people don't know how to make the most of it. They just watch casually and don't really get much out of it in terms of language learning.
Exactly. So, let's break it down. First of all, what kind of shows or movies do you think are the best for English learners?
Well, I think sitcoms are great. Shows like Friends or The Big Bang Theory. The language is pretty everyday, the conversations are natural, and there are usually a lot of jokes, which helps with understanding different tones and cultural references.
I agree. Sitcoms are a classic choice. But what about more serious dramas, like Breaking Bad or Stranger Things? The language might be a bit more complex, but it can also expose learners to a wider range of vocabulary.
That's true. Dramas can be really beneficial. They often have more in-depth storylines, which means more opportunities to hear different types of dialogue, like emotional conversations, arguments, and monologues. It all depends on the learner's level, I guess. Beginners might struggle with dramas, but intermediate and advanced learners can really gain a lot.
Right. Now, once you've chosen a show or movie, how should you start watching it? Should you just hit play and go?
Definitely not. I think the first time you can watch it with subtitles in your native language. This way, you can focus on the overall story and get a feel for the characters and the setting. It helps you understand what's going on without getting too caught up in trying to understand every word.
That makes sense. And then what?
Then watch it again, but this time with English subtitles. This is where the real learning starts. You can start to match the spoken words with what you're seeing on the screen. It helps with pronunciation, intonation, and also with picking up new words and phrases.
I like that. It's like training wheels for your ears. And what about watching it a third time?
The third time, try watching it without any subtitles at all. By now, you should have a good understanding of the story, so you can really focus on just listening. You'll be surprised at how much more you can understand. It's a great way to test your progress.
That's a solid strategy. But what if there are words or phrases you don't understand, even with subtitles?
Well, that's where pausing the video comes in handy. Whenever you hear something new or confusing, pause the show and look it up. You can use a dictionary app on your phone or a good old-fashioned English language dictionary. Write down some word or phrase along with an example sentence from the show and try to use it in your own conversations later.
That's such a practical tip. And do you think it's better to watch short clips repeatedly or an entire episode or movie?
I think a combination is good. Short clips are great for focusing on a specific scene or a particular language point. For example, if there's a really funny conversation in a sitcom, you can watch that clip over and over again to really understand all the jokes and the language used. But watching an entire episode or movie also helps with getting a sense of the overall flow of the language, like how conversations transition and how different characters interact.
Okay, so we've talked about choosing the right shows, watching with and without subtitles, and dealing with new vocabulary. But what about pronunciation? How can watching TV shows and movies help with that?
Well, pay close attention to how the actors speak. Notice their intonation, which is the rise and fall of their voices. English has a very distinct intonation pattern, and understanding it can really improve your comprehension. Also, try to imitate the actors. Repeat what they say, trying to copy their pronunciation as closely as possible. You can even record yourself and compare it to the original to see how you're doing.
That's a great idea. It's like having your own private acting and language coach. And what about accents? There are so many different accents in English. How do you deal with that when watching shows?
It's actually a great opportunity to get used to different accents. Start with shows that have a more standard accent, like a general American or received pronunciation. But then, branch out. Watch British shows, Australian shows, shows with different regional accents in the US. It'll broaden your listening skills and make you more adaptable. And don't be afraid if you don't understand everything at first. Just keep watching, and over time you'll get better at deciphering different accents.
That's true. Exposure is key. Now, let's talk about how to make this a regular part of your language. Learning routine. Do you think it's better to watch a little bit every day or have a big binge, watching session once a week?
I think a little bit every day is better. It's like exercising. If you do a little bit of physical activity every day, you'll see better results than if you do a huge workout once a week. And the same goes for language learning. Watching a short episode or a few clips every day keeps your ears tuned into the English language and helps with retention.
I agree. Consistency is important. But what if you don't have a lot of time?
Well, even if you only have 10-15 minutes a day, you can still make it work. You can watch a short YouTube video in English or a trailer for a movie. Just find something that fits your schedule and go for it.
That's good advice. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges people might face when using this method. One challenge could be getting distracted by the visuals and not really focusing on the language. How do you overcome that?
I think you have to train yourself to focus. Maybe start by covering the bottom part of the screen where the subtitles are when using English subtitles, so you can't read them as easily and have to rely more on your ears. Or close your eyes for a few seconds during a scene and just listen. It forces you to tune into the audio.
That's a clever trick. Another challenge could be finding shows or movies that are at the right level. What if a show is too easy or too hard?
If it's too easy, you're not really learning much new. In that case, try to find something with a bit more complex language, maybe a show aimed at a slightly older audience or a more serious genre. If it's too hard, don't give up. Watch it with your native language subtitles first, as we mentioned before, and then try watching it again with English subtitles. You can also look for simplified versions of classic movies or shows that are specifically made for language learners.
That's a good point. And what about the cultural references in shows and movies? Sometimes they can be really confusing for non-native speakers.
Absolutely. Cultural references are a big part of English language media. Whenever you come across a cultural reference you don't understand, pause and look it up. There are great websites and books that explain common cultural references in English. Understanding these references not only helps with your language skills, but also gives you a better understanding of the culture, which is an important part of learning a language.
So, in summary, using TV shows and movies to learn English listening can be an amazing tool. You just have to choose the right content, watch it in a strategic way, deal with new vocabulary, focus on pronunciation and accents, make it a regular part of your routine, and overcome common challenges.
Exactly, Myra. It's a fun and effective way to improve your English listening skills. And who knows, you might discover some new favorite shows along the way.
Definitely. I'm already excited to start recommending some great shows to our listeners who want to give this method a try.
Me too. Let's hope they find it as helpful as we think it is.